Life doesn't knock. It just comes in and takes what it wants. Sometimes it's your money. Sometimes it's your people. Sometimes it's you. Most crumble. They cry, call friends, wait for comfort. That's not you. Not if you want to rise. Machiavelli didn't write for the comfortable. He wrote for the broken, the betrayed, the discarded. When life breaks you, it watches what you do next. Let it take what it wants. See what's left. If your mind is soft, you rot. If it's cold, you change. Pain isn't the enemy, it's the teacher. It tells you who's fragile, it tells you who's forged. 1. Weak minds seek comfort. Strong minds seek control. Some people, when the hurt comes, look for a soft place to land. They reach for a phone, call a friend, pour a drink, turn on the TV. They want to forget. Just for a while. I've seen men sit in bars every night for years because of something that happened once. A job they lost. A woman who left. A thing they can't name without their throat tightening. Comfort feels warm, but it's a slow kind of drowning. You stop feeling the water until it's at your neck. The world likes you that way. Easy to manage. A man who needs comfort will trade almost anything for it. Money, time, even self-respect. It's not a conspiracy. It's just how things work. A strong mind does something else. It looks at the hurt and doesn't run. It stays in the room. The air gets heavy. Your hands want to move. Your body wants to escape. But you don't. You let the silence do its work. Control starts here. Not with other people. Not with your job or your money. With you. With the small invisible moment between what happens and how you respond. Most men give that moment away without knowing it. They react before they think. They reach for something before they've even felt the full weight of the pain. A strong mind holds that moment. It says, "Number. We're not running. We're staying here until we understand. You can't own anything in this world if you can't own yourself." That's not philosophy. That's the floor everything else stands on. Control is not about being a robot. It's not about feeling nothing. It's about choosing when and how to move, and you can only choose if you've trained for it. Training doesn't happen on good days. It happens when things are bad. When you want to call her back, but you don't. When you want to fire off the angry email, but you save it in drafts. When you want to explain yourself to someone who already decided what you are, and you stay quiet. That's control. Not because silence is magic, but because it keeps you from playing the other man's game. People will call you cold when you stop giving them the reaction they expect. They'll say you've changed. They'll be right. A man who controls his reactions controls his life. He can't be baited. He can't be pushed into moves that don't serve him. Comfort makes you soft. Control makes you sharp. And sharp survives. So the next time the hurt comes, don't run. Don't reach. Hold the moment. It's the first step to never being owned again. 2. Break the emotion. Build the edge. You weren't weak because you got hurt. You were weak because you let the hurt take over. Pain happens. No one escapes it. But the meaning you give it, that's the lever. That's what decides whether you move forward or get stuck. Most people think reacting makes them authentic. It doesn't. It makes them predictable. And if people can predict you, they can control you. They know which words make you snap. They know what silence makes you panic. They know the old wounds they can press and watch you dance. The trap is simple. Same trigger, same reaction. Over and over. Years go by and you don't notice the pattern until someone points it out, or you're too tired to deny it. To break the pattern, you have to break the emotion. not erase it. Break its hold. Discipline is the word nobody wants to hear. They'd rather hear about healing, about expressing, about being open. That's fine for them. But you're not trying to be fine. You're trying to be dangerous to anything that wants to hurt you. Dangerous people aren't numb. They feel it all. They just choose when to show it. That's the discipline, to feel heat in your chest and not move until you've decided the move is worth it. To cry if you need to, but only behind locked doors. To speak less and make each word cut deep. When you argue with someone who's already made up their mind, you lose twice. Once in energy, once in dignity. Your focus is sacred. It's not for anyone who hasn't earned it. Machiavelli wrote that it's safer to be feared than loved. Love can make you soft. It ties you to illusions. Fear, even mild fear, makes people careful. They weigh their words. They measure their actions. That's the edge you want. Not noise, not endless displays of strength. Just a quiet, steady sharpness that doesn't need to announce itself. Next time life throws fire at you, don't flinch. Don't wave your arms. Just stare at it. You've been burned before. You've lived through worse. This time, you won't just survive it. You'll use it. That's the difference between a man who breaks and a man who builds an edge. 3. Rewrite the narrative. Most people stay broken because they keep the story they were given. They repeat it until it feels like truth. It becomes part of how they introduce themselves. My father left. I was betrayed. This happened to me. They wear the story like a badge. It gives them a reason for why they are the way they are. It also gives them a reason not to change. Pity feels warm at first. It draws people in. It can even make you feel special. But pity has a leash, and you're the one wearing it. Machiavelli didn't write about pity. He wrote about power. He wrote about controlling how others see you, and how you see yourself. You can't carry the victim story and hold power at the same time. The weight is too much. One has to go. The story you tell yourself is not fixed. It's clay. And clay is meant to be broken apart, reshaped, burned in the fire, until it's strong enough to keep. Tear down every part of it that makes you small. Erase the lines that say you were owed something. The world doesn't owe you anything. It never did. But it will give you power if you prove you're willing to take it. Your trauma is not your personality. Your pain is not your name. Stop calling it your truth. It was an event, a phase, a test. Not the whole book, just a chapter. When you rewrite, you don't just change words, you change the ending. You turn "I was hurt" into "I was forged." You turn "they left me" into "I learned who never belonged." You turn "I lost" into "I'm harder to take from now." People will try to pull you back to the old version. They'll bring up what happened. They'll speak to you like nothing has changed. Let them. Just make sure the version they're trying to reach no longer exists. This is how you control the narrative. By killing off the self that stayed broken. By replacing it with the self that doesn't apologize for surviving. Machiavelli understood that perception can be stronger than reality. When you speak, make your words cut. When you walk, carry silence like a weapon. When they doubt you, don't explain, exceed. And when life hits you again, as it will, you won't fall into the old story. You'll write a new one before the dust even settles. Because the man who rewrites his story rewrites how the world sees him. And when you can do that, you're already halfway to owning the room. 4. Kill attachment. Build inner power. Attachment feels good in the beginning. It feels like safety, like belonging, like something solid you can hold on to. But under the surface, it's a chain. The more you pull, the tighter it wraps around you. You start bending your standards, waiting for calls that don't come, making excuses for people who've already shown you who they are. You stay in places you've outgrown. You fight to keep what's already gone. That's the first crack in the armor, caring too much about what doesn't care about you. Machiavelli didn't build power by holding on. He built it by watching, calculating, and letting go when the time came. He understood that clinging makes you predictable, and predictable makes you weak. You want real power? Stop attaching your peace to anything outside yourself. Not to people, not to outcomes, not to who you think you're supposed to be. The moment something controls how you feel, it controls you. And a controlled man is no man at all. Emotional independence is the weapon. You can stand in a storm and not need an umbrella from anyone else. You can sit in a room full of noise and stay quiet inside. When you detach, strange things happen. People notice. They wonder why you don't react, why you don't beg, why you don't flinch when they pull away. Your silence becomes unsettling. Your absence becomes loud. Your distance starts to feel like dominance. And it is. Because while everyone else is scrambling to hold on, you're willing to walk away. Every time you detach, you take power back. Every time you stop explaining, you sharpen your focus. Every time you don't react, you earn respect. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're selfish. Let them. The truth is, you've stopped bleeding for people who never noticed your wounds. You've stopped shrinking so others could feel bigger. You've stopped confusing loyalty to others with betrayal to yourself. This is the turning point. You don't need closure. You don't need applause. You need clarity and the space to make your next move in silence. That's the highest discipline. To act without being seen. To feel without being ruled. To cut without hesitation. Drop what weakens you. Release what drains you. Silence what distracts you. You're not here to please. You're here to position. When you understand that, the chain falls off, and you can finally move the way you were meant to move. Free, sharp, untouchable. 5. Isolation is where kings are forged. They say being alone is dangerous. They say it means you're broken, that you've lost something. They're wrong. What's dangerous isn't being alone. What's dangerous is not knowing how to be. Weak minds need noise. They need people around to drown out the war inside. Any silence feels like a threat. You're not here to avoid that threat. You're here to walk straight into it. There's a kind of isolation you don't choose. When someone leaves you. When the call never comes back. When you lose the job, the title, the group. And there's another kind you do choose. You step back, you say no, you close the door, not to punish anyone, but to sharpen yourself. In isolation, the world gets quiet, and your thoughts get loud. You hear the truth you've been avoiding. You feel the fears you've been carrying. They all come up. It's not an attack. It's an audit. This is where you find out what's worth keeping. This is where you see the habits, the attachments, the illusions that keep you small. And this is where you burn them. Most people can't stay here. They fill the silence with music, screens, constant talking. Anything to avoid sitting across from themselves. You won't. You'll let the silence do its work. You'll sit with your mind until the screaming turns into understanding. Old beliefs will try to crawl back. Weak habits will knock. Past relationships will whisper. You don't answer, because you know something they don't. A man who returns from isolation is never the same. He's either weaker, more desperate for approval, or stronger, colder, unmoved. You're aiming for the second. When you walk back into the world, you won't be announcing your change. They'll feel it. They'll watch their words. They'll see you don't need them the way you used to. That's why kings are forged in isolation. Not because it's peaceful, but because it's brutal. It forces you to strip down to what you really are. It shows you the edges you didn't know you had. Loneliness is not your enemy here. It's your tool. It's the weight you lift until it turns into strength. When you come back, you won't be hungry for their attention. You'll be hungry for position, for control, and they won't know what to do with that. Sixth turn, pain into precision. Pain is the first teacher. Not love, not success. Pain. It doesn't care if you're ready. It doesn't ask if you can handle it. It just arrives, and it stays as long as it needs to. Most people fight it. They drown it in distractions. They try to drink it away, talk it away, sleep it away. But pain doesn't leave just because you look the other way. It waits. You can curse it, or you can use it. Here's the truth. Pain is data. It's the purest kind you'll ever get. It tells you exactly where you're weak, exactly where you've been blind, exactly where you've been lying to yourself. If you listen, you can turn it into a weapon. Not the kind you swing wildly, but the kind you aim with deadly accuracy. Think about it. That heartbreak? It showed you the cost of ignoring red flags. That betrayal? It taught you the value of distance. That loss? It proved you can survive more than you thought. Every cut is a map. If you follow it, you'll see where you need to fortify. You'll see which doors should stay shut, which people should stay out. Pain strips away illusions. It takes the shine off the lies you've been holding. It leaves only the truth, sharp, unpolished, and real. When you stop running from it, you start learning from it. You start making moves with precision. You stop wasting shots. People will notice. They'll say you're colder. You're harder to reach. Good. That means you've stopped leaving yourself open for every arrow. Understand this. Precision isn't about perfection. It's about economy. Every word, every action, every choice has weight. You stop explaining yourself to the wrong ears. You stop giving effort to the wrong doors. You stop bleeding for things that won't keep you alive. And the more precise you get, the quieter you become. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you no longer need to say it. Pain gave you that. It carved you into something leaner. It cut out the excess, the softness, the hesitation. One day, you'll look back and see it clearly. The wound wasn't the end. It was the blade that shaped you. So stop wishing it didn't happen. Start asking why it came. Then use the answer to aim sharper than you ever have before. Because in the game of power, the man who moves with precision never moves twice in the same way. And that makes him impossible to predict. 7. Never explain, never complain. Weak men explain. Weaker men complain. Both are bleeding in public. When you explain, you hand them the map to your mind. You give them the why behind your move. You give them the lever to pull next time. When you complain, you hand them proof you can be broken. You tell them where it hurts. You tell them how to get to you faster next time. You think you're making yourself understood. You think you're getting sympathy. What you're really doing is teaching them how to control you. Strong men move in silence. They make decisions and let the dust speak for them. They endure without turning the wound into a spectacle. It's not about being cold. It's about being unreadable. Unreadable men are hard to trap. You can't bait them if you don't know what they want. You can't blackmail them if you don't know what they fear. Think about the last time someone crossed you. Did you tell them they hurt you? Did you give them the satisfaction of watching you justify yourself? Why? What did you get for it? There's a reason predators test for weakness before attacking. It's the reaction they're looking for. Show none, and they have nothing to work with. When you stop explaining, you stop defending ground you already own. When you stop complaining, you stop signaling where you can be pushed. People will call you mysterious, distant, aloof, fine. They'll fill the silence with their own guesses, and those guesses will keep them cautious. This isn't about hiding from life. It's about playing it on your terms. You speak when there's a purpose. You share when it's an advantage. Everything else stays locked. A man who never explains can walk away without burning bridges, because he never made the other side feel cornered. A man who never complains can take a hit without making the attacker feel powerful. It's control, pure and simple. You'll notice something when you live this way. People start explaining themselves to you. They start over-talking, over-sharing, over-justifying, because the silence makes them uneasy. They reveal what you never asked for. That's when you know you've won. Never explain, never complain. Not because you're above it, but because you understand that once the words leave your mouth, they're no longer yours. And in this game, every word is ammunition. The less you give, the longer you last. 8. Power in detachment. Attachment makes you predictable. Detachment makes you dangerous. When you're attached, they can pull you in any direction, with praise, with rejection, with the promise of something they might never give. They know the strings to pull because you showed them. You taught them with every reaction, every quick reply, every anxious check-in. Detachment cuts the strings. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop letting care dictate your moves. Think about the last time you lost control. Was it because something real happened, or because you couldn't stand the thought of losing what you were attached to? Most people live like addicts, not to drugs, to people, to approval, to being seen. They'll do anything to keep the supply coming. That's why detachment is power. The man who can walk away doesn't need leverage. He is leverage. Detachment lets you say no without shaking. It lets you wait without desperation. It lets you see the game for what it is, not for what you wish it was. When you're detached, you can sit across from someone and hear the threat in their voice without feeling the need to answer it. You can take the compliment without needing the next one. You can watch the door close without rushing to hold it open. People sense it. They start treading lighter. They know they can't hook you with the usual bait. And that unsettles them, because most of the world runs on hooks. Here's the paradox. When you detach, you often get more of what you once chased. Because you're no longer grasping, you look more valuable. Because you can leave, they want you to stay. But you can't fake it. If detachment is just another move to get something, it's not detachment. It's manipulation. Real detachment is when you mean it. When you'd rather lose the deal, the person, the opportunity, then lose yourself. It's not about being numb. It's about being steady. The storm can rage. You stay anchored. That's the kind of man people follow. That's the kind of man people fear losing. Detachment isn't the absence of feeling. It's the mastery of it. And once you master it, you'll see the truth. You were never chasing them. You were chasing the way they made you feel. When you can give that feeling to yourself, no one else holds the key. 9. The long game. Most people play for the next move, the next win, the next rush. They want the quick victory, the kind you can post about, brag about, toast over. They don't see that quick wins often cost more than they're worth. The long game doesn't care about next week. It doesn't care about this quarter. It's not about looking good now. It's about being unshakable later. In the long game, patience isn't passive. It's a weapon. You wait while they burn themselves out chasing the immediate. You watch while they show their hand too early. You move when the timing is right, not when your ego is screaming for action. The man who plays the long game isn't seduced by noise, not by flattery, not by panic. He understands that time is a filter. It reveals who's real, who's bluffing, and who's already beaten. When you play short, you take every fight offered. When you play long, you choose your battles like they cost blood, because they do. The long game requires discipline most people can't stand. It means walking away from bait. It means enduring moments where you look like you're losing, just so you can win where it matters. Think of the best chess players. They'll sacrifice pieces, sometimes big ones, if it secures the checkmate 20 moves later. Most people can't stomach that. They want to win every exchange. And that's why they lose the board. The long game also means you're not chasing validation. You're building position. That position might not look impressive now, but over time, it turns into something no one can touch. Here's the catch. Playing long means you'll be misunderstood. People will think you're slow, hesitant, maybe even weak. Let them. The moment you start performing for their approval, you're playing their game, not yours. The long game isn't for the impatient. It's for those who can resist the itch to prove themselves every hour of every day. It's for those who can keep their mouth shut when they could score points now, because they know the real prize isn't points, it's power. And power, real power, doesn't flash. It lasts. One day, the people who underestimated you will realize you were never standing still. You were setting the board. And when they do, it'll be too late for them to move without losing. So keep your eyes beyond the horizon. Let them chase the noise. You're after the signal, the thing that's still there when the noise dies down. That's the long game. You don't just win it. You outlast everyone else until there's nothing left to beat. Conclusion. In the end, it's not the clever move, the perfect line, or the moment you won that matters. It's who you became while you waited. It's the discipline you built when no one was watching. It's the quiet strength that doesn't need applause. You don't need to be the loudest, the fastest, or the most liked. You just need to last. Because in the long game, the man who can endure, who can stay steady when others break, is the man who walks away with everything worth keeping.